Welcome to episode 40 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Thank you for everybody who's been subscribing and liking and commenting on YouTube. I appreciate that. And for subscribing on all the other podcast apps. It's great. It goes a long way. I appreciate it. Thank you. So we had episode 40. We finally out of the 30s. I finally was in the 30s for a long time, but we out of it. And a few things about the podcast before we go on. So this podcast is going to continue to come out every Tuesday morning, right? So we're good there. But I decided to make some changes. What I'm going to do is create a brand new podcast, as if I don't have enough problems and enough work trying to figure out how to get this one out every week. But the conversations, I like doing the conversations, and I think it is really helpful for a lot of people. And I want to continue to do that so that I could just come here and we'll talk on a Tuesday, and on a Friday, I have something that more edifying and people could learn something, and I get to talk to some interesting people instead of just talking to myself all the time. So I think my best bet is to launch that as a new podcast. So I'm working on that right now. So I'm going to put a pause on the conversations. I'm still doing them, but I'm not going to put out any new ones until I have everything ready for that. So just look out for that within the next coming weeks. And of course, I'll plug it here so you know what's happening and all that. But it also means that all the conversations that I have there now, I'm going to take down and put on its own platform. It makes sense. It's a different audience and different listeners. A lot of y'all tell me who's listening every Tuesday that y'all don't listen to the damn conversations anyway. So I might as well move them and get them somewhere else. So let's see how that goes. I'll let you know when that's happening. And talking about that, like one of those people I had a few conversations with was Neola Zama, who's a therapist, and it's always enjoyable talking to Neola. A lot of people usually reach out to me and say how helpful it is to listen to those episodes on different topics around mental health. So that will continue to happen. I'm on Neola, so you all should go to Neola Instagram too and tell her, listen, time to start her own podcast. I'm working with her, hoping that she does. I think it's going to be extremely helpful. But I mean, this space is always open to her, and I moved on from just doing a podcast with Neola to signing up for Neola's Boundaries coaching. So we had to do some accountability now, right? I went to the first session a couple weeks ago or last week, and it was really interesting. Now, I'm learning a lot about this as I go along. So y'all don't take me as no expert on this. I just tell you about my experience. But like I told her when she asked me why I signed up for the Boundaries course, I told her, like, I don't like to tell people, no, I feel bad. And when, I always feel bad about that. Stacey's better at that than me. She had no problem telling nobody no. But I just feel a kind of way. And when I'd say no, I'm feeling guilty about it. You all would have heard that in the episode I did with her, the last episode on boundaries. So I went into the class really hoping to work on that and to make that easier. Now, a few things. This session is a group session, and I've never been in. All the therapy I ever do was one-on-one, right? You sit down with a therapist and you talk to the therapist about your issues. And I talked about things that I don't want to talk to nobody else about. So when I'm in a group session, I find it's like, what am I supposed to say in front of these people? I don't know who these people are and all that. But it was different. It was unique. It was think of it like, you ever went on a training session for your job and you're discussing issues that you want to get better at where work concerned, and it's not like if I was ever in a training session and I feeling like judged. I just want to get the best out of the session. You see me when you put me in training and them thing, I'm going to be the one who going to talk and ask plenty questions, because even if I was resisting going there in the first place or I didn't feel it was important, when I reach there, I'm going to try to make the best of it and get what I could get out of it. So I approach it the same way, and I found that, I mean, if you listen to her, you know how, I want to say easy she makes it to talk, and she's just real therapist in the true sense of the word. She know how to break people down to talk and make it comfortable, safe space kind of thing, right? And I found that it was very much like that. And I learned a lot about myself where boundaries concerned. I don't know about you all, but I find saying no is hard. But I started to realize in the session that when you have boundary issues, you have boundary issues. It don't matter if it's saying no or saying yes, because I think I might have some issues letting people into my life. I didn't know this. I didn't know any of this at all. And Stacey been telling me this, like, you don't open up. How much all you, like, let me just talk to the men for a second. How much all you hear that women tell all you over time that you don't like to open up, you don't let people in. I didn't know what I mean, I didn't know what I mean until last week when I went through the session with Neola. So simple things like asking for help or saying when you need something, I rather die. I would rather dead me or no help. I could figure I could figure stuff out. And she had some interesting theories about why men might think that way and that kind of thing. So the first session was really, really very good and I enjoyed it. So I know that she is doing another session for people, a group session on boundaries. I'll get the right dates for you and everything, and I'll let you know when that is. But and I'll probably get her to come on and talk a little bit about it. And in this session, she also had another therapist by the name of Simone da Costa, who hoping to get Simone on sometime soon too. And Simone went through a simple, I don't know what to call it, like a meditation exercise or a relaxation exercise. I don't I don't do too much of meditation and thing. Maybe how to say it, but I'm not sure if to say like I don't believe in it and them kind of thing. But I don't make time in my day to do meditation, and I'm also not very comfortable feeling like I ain't doing nothing. You just sit down, you ain't doing nothing at all. I find meditation sound like you ain't doing nothing. I find I should be doing something. I find that thing to do. But in that session, she take us through a little breathing exercise and to think of somebody you might have an issue with. And it was so simple. And she and all have a gentle way of approaching them things too. And I'll tell you this, right? That didn't last more than a minute. I feel like maybe I have some psychological problem. I don't like to keep my eye closed for too long. And I don't know about you. Anytime my eye closed for too long, I feel the worst going to happen. But for that little minute that she was able to do it, just some simple breathing and your eyes closed and I grounding off. And boy, listen, the thing was good and I feel really relaxed after. So I'd recommend it to anybody. But Simone will come on and she will talk about her own thing. I also had to talk about Nick Dean. And if you check back the conversations, you'll see Nick Dean, a financial coach. It has been very interesting talking to and dealing with Nick. So the course I'm doing with him is the 7 Steps to Financial Mastery. I think we're moving on to stage 4 or 5. So we completed retirement and financial freedom in terms of retirement. And then we went on to risk and insurance. We went on to credit and debt elimination. And we're moving on to investment next. Now, that is also a real interesting experience for me. As I say, the more I bring people on here and I learn from them, I get curious and I want to learn more. So I've been on this journey with them since January. And listen, it's making me revise the way I see money, my approach to financial management. I've also engaged Nick to look at all my finances. Let me look at what money coming in and what money going out and make some decisions about what are some of the best things to do. And I'm not going to put his thing out there because we lining up another podcast, which we'll of course do on a new platform. But I will get specifically into some of these things, on some of the things we spoke about where retirement concerned. The biggest issues for me, just to put that out there, was the way I'm looking at retirement and managing my retirement goals and my family retirement goals, and also debt elimination. There's 2 things that I have not done a very good job at, not for lack of trying. I think it's really just for lack of information and my approach to it overall. So, of course, I'll be open and I'll share that with you guys and tell you where I am with it. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy what the new series looks like. And yeah, that's that. So this podcast is going to continue to come out every Tuesday and those will be moved to Friday. Cool. All right. So what happened this week? First and foremost, let me say Happy International Women's Day. Let me get this right. Because I done getting some problems home because here I ain't do nothing for the Women's Day and it's women and every day is Women's Day and I ain't... Okay. Happy International Women's Day, all jokes aside, and to recognize women who have been extremely important and influential in my life. First and foremost, my mother. No woman has ever had that kind of impact before Stacey. That my mother in my life and continues to be a part of my life up to today. To the point where she had to call me and remind me that it's International Women's Day and I ain't call her yet. So I'm not good at these things, I would admit. I'm not good at these things, but again, happy Women's Day. I feel like, a part of me feeling like, and there's another day that comes women have to spend money, because first, I remember back in the day, when Mother's Day, you know what I mean? It started off as a little card and a little thing. Then it slowly moved into a breakfast and a brunch and a lunch. And then it turned into a gift. So the Women's Day is not a gift expecting day, I think, yet. And I'm hearing that this has been around for the last, how much ever, 20-something years. That's what they say. But now is a it starts off as an acknowledgement, right? Like happy. It starts off where about 5, 6 o'clock the evening, somebody say, hey, today's International Women's Day. So it moving early up in the day. So now it's first thing in the morning is Women's Day. And if you can call people by a certain time, it's problems. So I seen it going down the road already where now is at dinner, is a thing. My partner OP say he had to go and plan thing and I hear man planning poem and all these things. All right, okay. Next thing gonna be restaurant opening with Women's Day special. All right, cool. You go and spend that money. And remember, I talked about Nick. I talked to Nick about how I spending money and things. So I'm very, very watching my dollar these days. And now it gonna turn into jewelry very, very soon. But again, happy International Women's Day. Although I asked a certain woman in my life, but when is Man Day? And she can't tell me up to now when is Man Day. But all right, Women's Day, we had to know. I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, it's always good to acknowledge the presence of women and all, especially given what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago with women. We need to figure out how to put women on a plateau right through. And more than the platitudes of a Woman's Day or a Mother's Day or any other day where we take 24 hours off to do the right thing. As fellas, we had to do the right thing, man. We had to protect our women and love them and cherish them and make them feel appreciated and wanted and protected in our society. And put them back in charge of the society, man. Like we have a woman in charge of society now who, as Paula May Weeks, what is called them? Your Royal Majesty. What is called the president? Your Excellency. Your Excellency. Paula May Weeks. I saw she came out this week and everybody was asking when the whole movement behind Andrea Barrett, and I don't just want to say Andrea Barrett either, behind what's been happening to women in the country, as that continued to gain momentum, swell, become more of a national issue and get a lot of support in terms of protests and what's happening in media and everything, a lot of people were asking the question, well, where's Paula May Weeks? How she have nothing to say? We have a female president and she very, very quiet on the issue of Andrea Barrett. But she came out this week and she said, listen, she makes some statements. So let me read, right? I'm going to read from Loop TT here. In a statement issued ahead of International Women's Day, Weeks explained why she didn't issue a statement following the kidnapping and murder of a 23-year-old, as communities and groups throughout the country carried out vigils calling for an end to violence against women. Weeks said that she didn't think her personal despair was what the nation needed to hear at the time. When 4/2/21, when on the 4th of February 2021, 6 days after she went missing, Andrea's body was found in the heights of Aripo. The country was plunged into anguish yet again, and so shortly after Shanti Riley, one of our women, had met a violent and horrific end at the hands of men that our society has produced. Citizens in anger and angst called out Parliament, politicians, the police service, the judiciary, and attorneys at law, PH drivers, among others, for contributing by act or omission to the death and demanding immediate corrective measures. Frightened and concerned members of the population, predominantly women, marched, held placards aloft, participated in vigils, formed community groups, and prayed for divine intervention. Impassioned citizens inquired, some more civilly than others, where was the president in all of this, while all of this was happening, and why she, particularly as a woman, had said nothing. The inquiry was fair and perfectly understandable in a society which has become accustomed to instant reactions on social media fodder. Letters to the office of the president and comments online suggested that citizens wanted their president to, among other things, comfort them, bring the nation together, use moral suasion to make the government and opposition find common ground, and most of all, give them hope. Listen, this is long, to be honest. I'm being honest. This is long. I ain't reading no more. No, the thing about it, long, right? She didn't do it. She was feeling hurt on the inside, and she didn't know that her personal hurt was anything that the nation needed to feel. And I want to say exactly the opposite. The personal hurt is probably what we need more of our leaders to feel and show. Because when as a leader, right, You have to deal with the issue, regardless of what it is. When you don't show any personal hurt or despair, then people like me start to wonder if you really care or not. To be honest, it seems like if you're just there, you're not affected by any of these things. Like I talked to my little sister soon after that happened, right? And I was like, "Girl, what going on with you, girl? You safe? How you going?" She's maybe 20, 21, and she wants to be a Gaza Barbie bad, although she grew up uptown. But when I talk to her, my concern first is her. It's like, what going on? I know you're out there, you know what I mean? You have your little boyfriends, you have friends, you know what I mean? When you're all moving, you're all safe and everything. And of course, she had to give me some guys. I talk about nothing came to she and all them things. But my genuine concern is for her safety. I can't imagine something happening to her. I cannot imagine it. It's too hard for me to fathom. So I think having relationships like that is the reason why a lot of people who came out and marched, regardless if you all feel it politically influenced or not, a lot of people really mirroring that feeling that they would have had if they lost someone, and could see it in Andrea father and them kind of things. So when the leaders of the country hesitate to speak because of all those nice words she just said, there's a lot of words. I don't care read already, so I can't read no more of that statement. But it's a lot of words that come long after. But it I can't help but feel like on International Women's Day, you had scheduled something to say and you was going to talk on that day anyway. So you kind of wrap up the two issues in one, which I suppose that is good, yes. But I wish we would hear from leaders more on issues like those. Because my philosophy is this, right? Regardless of who in power, them fellas go do the same, or ladies go do the same thing, and I go be here complaining about them anyway. But what we lacking is somebody who inspires. I always feel like a big part of leadership had to be how you inspire people. And I mean, when you all remember when Kamuna come and get the powers speech, that thing rattle up the place. The man say powers that I have may not be actual powers, but the real powers of Grayskull. You all remember that, Dred? And everybody feel good. Like it lift up everybody in that moment because people fed up with the politicians to that extent. So to see a president in place who seemed to want to challenge or change what was happening at the political level, it feel good rather than somebody who no knock on them at all. But we had before them in my time. I remember Nur Hassan Ali, who was very quiet. He was just a quiet dude. He never used to say a whole lot on issues while he was sitting as president. So, but I mean, come on. You know what I mean? It never really reached very far. And I guess the powers was the powers of silence, which Paula Mayweek seemed to have too. So I guess what I'm saying is, where's the inspiration? Where's the thing that we could inspire to, aspire to, look up to, work towards? You know what I mean? All we hearing is doom and gloom. I hear there are no more super gas soon. All I hear the men saying a discussion happening where it ain't going no more super. All we go use is premium. That is a scary thought in this country. You all check you do a little experiment. Fill your tank with premium and compare the price that you would usually pay when you fill your tank with super. It's a big difference. And I'm a little worried about if they eliminate super for what it does to the cost of taxi services, transport as a whole. The price of goods going to continue to increase here. And I mean, the economists don't say it already. No, we got to deflate the dollar. It might seem unrelated, but it's very, very related. At some point in time, we got to pay a 20-1 for US to get this economy back in a gear. But anyway, we digress. So Paula Mayweek, we make a long statement and think it was real long. And I understand what she's saying, but sometimes I feel that compassion is exactly what we need. Come out and see how you feel. Come out and show that you're human. Because when these things happen to people in the country, it's a very, very human issue. It's not a political issue, regardless of what people want to say about who's supporting what side and who come out to march for who. It is a human issue. As I said in a couple podcasts ago, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, neither her nor Dr. Rowley, neither of them inspiring that amount of people to march and drive nowhere. It's not happening. For them to do that, they had to go and give out jersey, give out thing. But it's still Roman roti politics here. But anyway, I don't know how I reach quite there. Happy International Day to all the women in my life, all the women who listen to this podcast. You are valued. We appreciate you all. Happy International Day. And whenever it reach gift buying time, we go buy the gift too, right? We done here already, right? We can't do nothing about that. Now let me deal with some business here. Business to deal with, right? We done a whole 20 minutes and we ain't talk about nothing. Business to deal with this week. So let me get into the culture. I don't even know if this is our culture, but boy, it coming like our culture. The way I see people get warm all over the Caribbean, I know. Since they announced that they're having a next Coming to America part 2, I've been excited about this movie. Then I come and I hear they're filming the movie in Rick Ross Mansion. I get even more excited about it. Then I start to hear Tracy Morgan, Michael Blackson, everybody involved. I said, nah, this movie gonna be bad. I said, they're doing the right thing by Coming to America. And then just before I saw the movie on Sunday, because it released on Amazon, I wonder if everybody see it by now, but I don't want to be the guy who's spoiling everything for you, but I had to talk about it. So before Sunday, when it was released, I saw Arsenio Hall making the wrongs on the popular shows. Like I saw him on the Breakfast Club. He was on Ebro in the morning. He doing a lot of interviews. Now, you think about it. Arsenio Hall, I watch a lot of interviews. And I have not seen a lot of interviews with Arsenio Hall. He don't do much press at all. Well, Eddie Murphy ain't doing press. He ain't seen Eddie Murphy and no interview just so either. So when I see Arsenio Hall going on the Breakfast Club and spending a whole hour with Charlemagne, I say, nah, something wrong. Something ain't right in the state of Denmark. Because anytime them men doing that kind of press and them kind of runs to promote a movie, you know something coming. You know something smelling fishy. And here now the interview with Charlemagne was boring. I like Charlemagne interviews and I usually really like Breakfast Club interviews, but for some reason they leave off DJ Envy and Angela Yee. And they just had an hour with Charlemagne, and Arsenio Hall is almost apologizing for everything in the movie while he going through it. And you could see Charlemagne just stopping just short of saying that the movie was the worst thing he ever seen in his life. It was real forced and a real boring interview. So I say, boy, like the Coming to America ain't good. Because remakes of movies are difficult to do. Like, you know what I see my son is watch? My son is watch Fuller House. And when I know Full House, I really like Full House. And don't put this out there one time. I really like sitcoms. Sitcoms was my thing. So I was asking Stacey, what's her top sitcoms ever? I think for me, Sanford and Sons is up there. Because Red Fox is one of the funniest people alive. And if you remember, if you're anywhere near my age, Martin and them probably high up on your list too. Like, because when I was a teenager in school when Martin come out, and same when Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came out, them was things that, you know what I mean? When you watch them things, the eyes you watching that with at 13 years old, especially because when we grew up in Trinidad, it didn't have a lot of black, outside of the local programming, we wasn't seeing a lot of black things coming from the States. We would have seen Good Times and we'd have seen Different Strokes, and I wonder if all you can remember. I know you remember Jeffersons, but you all remember 227 with Sandra? The 227 was a bad show too. And then, of course, you had Cosby's and Different World. All those things were there. But I think Fresh Prince and Martin, for people who's my age, I'm 41, people who are around my time, when we saw that the first time, it was so different and so young and so fresh and had a lot of hip-hop influences in it. And you could see, you know what I mean, Rasta character and thing. That's things that you wasn't seeing much of in all those other black comedies that I called before. So we latch onto that as youths. We used to come every morning, we reached to school. We used to talk about what happened in Martin last night and talk about what happened in Fresh Prince the night before. You know, when you think about it now, youths, the world gets so instant. You remember the time where you had to wait till the next day to talk to your brethren in school? Boy, look at how youths now will never have that experience. They're talking about the show while it's going on. Whereas I know a man like me, I reach into school early. If I reach a school, Fatima started 7:30. If I reach a school for 7 o'clock, I had to wait for other men to come to school to think. And sometimes we can't even talk about it before school starts. It's quite on the first break, quite 10 o'clock. We now talking about what happened last night. That's a whole different time, boy. But we used to talk about them shows, and them shows was real revered to us. And I mean, because I am a sitcom lover, it wasn't just black sitcoms. I was on a real like Full House growing up. I'd love Saved by the Bell. They used to show that every day. So I mean, I hear Dustin Diamond pass away there. It was so sad. But I used to watch that all the time with Zach Morris and them. I not missing them shows. So when I see my son now watching Fuller House, and I asking him, well, who is these people? What she is, with this one, with that one. It's so odd when you see these makeovers come back. So when I hear it going and interfere with Coming to America, because I watch Coming to America like when I board home. That's on Netflix right now. So I'll pull up Coming to America and take in that. And it's really because I remember what I was doing when Coming to America came out. And I had to think that my parents, my mother in particular, she would have been just as excited about the movie back then as I was, because I remember watching Coming to America and it's a cussing and thing in it. I would have never get to watch a movie with cussing long time just so. But because, it would have been such a cultural thing, the thing fly and it's Coming to America and they cork ears and they block your eye in certain parts, you know what I mean? But I had really like Coming to America, not just because of what the movie meant, and it was just like Fresh Prince and Martin to me, it's seeing black people, the whole movie black, the lingo and everything closer. It's not exactly me as a Caribbean man, but it's closer to what I know. But also, as a little child, I had gone to New York when I was small. So the place looked familiar, like I could connect to the place and thing. And a lot of us have that experience as youths growing up in Trinidad and thing. We have family abroad. Even if you never went, you get the pictures, you get the barrels, you get the stories and everything. So we connect to Coming to America in a way that it's going to be impossible to replicate. And it had some iconic scenes, like the scenes where he was in the bar, when the two of them were in the bar meeting the people. The scenes from the barber shop, epic. And then the biggest scene of them all in the last one where the king came and he was trying to find Akeem, and then the dog was watching this one, and she find out Daryl is not really the prince, and you know what I mean? She find out Akeem. What's the man's name? Akeem was Eddie Murphy. What was that senior whole name again? Semi. She find out Semi is not the prince. You remember that scene? So that movie had like cultural impact and relevance, and as well as some scenes that they would not be able to recreate. So when I see Arsenio Hall basically begging people to like it and saying how nice the movie was and them thing, I say, I still be in trouble. This is not a good look. But Sunday morning I get up and I see like it's available on Amazon Prime. So I wake up Stacey and we done home already. I say, girl, let me take in this movie. But I didn't want to say nothing. I become my expectation a little low after I see Arsenio interview. So I want to tell Stacey I feel the movie ain't gonna be good. But I say, you know what? Let me just watch it with her and let me both get your opinion about it so it could come clean. And to be honest with you, I take in the movie. Now it's different, It's different. If you're listening to this and you didn't watch it yet, it's different. But I'm watching it and I say, all right, you know what I mean? I see a little Eddie, I see Arsenio, it open with them. Next, he had 3 big daughters. I guess it's plenty time passed too, you know what I mean? So if Eddie had get married to that woman back then, they say he have a son, and his son was in the movie, and his son is married in age, right? If he's married in age and them thing is so years about, let me say somewhere between 20 and 25. And that movie come out in 87. That mean he really releasing around 2007, somewhere around that time. But I take it in, and he have 3 young girls with him, and they very much in the Zamunda spirit, and very much like them when they grow up training. And to be honest with you, like from then, I start realizing, okay, my expectation was done low, and now it's even lower because it's not like a continuation of Eddie and the story with the wife and them kind of thing. The story is really about the children, Eddie and them playing a background role or a different type of role than they would have played before. And to be honest with you, I really thought James Earl Jones was dead, and I sorry to his family and thing. I thought he was dead, yeah. So I shocked when they see him in the movie. I want to know, well, when they filmed this. But all in all, without talking out too much of the movie, I find the movie was real good. Listen, I don't know if it's because my expectation was lowered up front, but people was real upset. I see an Instagram page of a fella named Mad White Jamaican. That man said he couldn't watch no more. He was upset and it's such foolishness and they go on and make it a classic. And I didn't understand it. I don't understand what people are so upset about. The movie was good. The movie was not. I don't think you could compare anything to Coming to America for the same reasons I'm talking about now. When Coming to America come out, I was young. I was in teenage years yet. And you're taking in this show that's so new and so different and like a place from Africa. And it's so different, you know what I mean? And you're hearing, listen, anybody who from Africa, go and tell you how terrible the first Coming to America was. Let me be real. That first Coming to America had more to do with the stage we was at in life and how we feel about that than it being good. The acting was not very good in the first Coming to America. The budget looked low budget like hell because I want you to remember that scene where they passed the elephant and thing. That was terrible as an outdoor scene. That was horrible. Even for back then. The palace was horrible how it was looking. It was, boy, listen, terrible. But we like it because I feel it's like the age and stage and the whole idea of the story. And the story was good. I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but it wasn't. It was a cult classic. Like Dave Chappelle had done Half Baked. The first time I see Half Baked, I say this is one of the worst movies I ever see. But more and more and more, it become one of them things that was just real good. And we watch it for what it is. And I think that's what Coming to America was. I know I'm going to like this opinion. But Coming to America was decent. But watch it again with your big eyes now, as a grown person. And try to watch through that movie. It's good and thing to we, but it ain't great, you know. That movie, so Coming to America too, to me, was along the same lines. It was real. It was extra, like, comical, this one compared to the first one. The story was real decent. I don't know why people have such an issue with this story. The storyline is he had 3 daughters. The man, the man who tribe the woof woman come from the first movie. He wants somebody to marry it off. You only had daughters. Your daughter don't want the man's son. And he ended up finding out he have a son back in his States. I don't see, like, that plot is a decent plot. And then the son come back with your Yankee ways. Tracy Morgan was funny. I find personally too, like, I watch it with such nostalgia that it almost couldn't be bad for me. Because when I see Wesley Snipes, water in my eye when I see Wesley Snipes, I feel so good to see Wesley Snipes come in. And boy, he was funny. It was kind of stupid funny the way he walk in and he march and thing. It was kind of ridiculous, but that's cool too. Listen, anybody who is watch movies like Bridesmaids and White Chicks and Along Came Polly and Something About Mary can't tell me that no Coming to America wasn't good. And Paul Blart Mall Cop and Coming to America was a good movie. I enjoyed the movie from beginning to end. I like how they mix in the little old parts and the old scenes from the old movie in with this movie. Was the barbershop scene nearly as funny? It wasn't nearly as funny. It couldn't be. It's a whole different time. Look what comedy is now compared to what it was back then. It couldn't possibly be. I was just glad to see them characters. I feel like I know them, man. When I see that barbershop, I just glad to see the old man. They could have write a story with them men dead, you know. That man supposed to be dead too because the amount of time passed. But I find it was real good. I find it was good. I find Wesley Snipes was real funny. Tracy Morgan, always funny to me. He just different with the funniness. And listen, the lead in the movie was not Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. It was this Jermaine Fowler who play I think it's Lavelle or Lavar. The man do a good job. The man play a good role as Eddie Murphy's son. I find it kind of strange that Eddie never take no DNA test on it. Now that was a little awkward. You just go and claim this boy child and bring him back. But all right, it work out. And yeah, Eddie first daughter, nicer boy. Little darkness. Anyway, but other than that, I find it was a good show. The movie plot itself was good. And let me say this too. Let me go. We done talking on unpopular opinions already because all of you find the movie was terrible and Coming to America 1 was great. You know why I didn't like at all? I did not like that Wakanda Black Panther movie. God bless my boy's soul. And no disrespect to none of them at all. But I don't like them kind of movies. I don't like superhero movies generally. I find that movie was so false and fake and thing. And I get what, like some people. So mistake number one was trying to compare Coming to America 2 with Coming to America 1. I think it was a bad idea. I think we do that with sequels all the time. And yet still we support some of the most terrible sequels like, what's the car one name? With Vince Strongman again? Like Fast and Furious. Like he have like hundreds of them. Even Rocky. Rocky had so like you try to go back and watch Rocky now. It's hard to watch it. But that comparing one to the other, I feel that's a recipe for disaster. 2 was good on its own. The storyline was good and the plot was good. And it was funny. It was funny. When people went now to compare it to Wakanda, because I see somebody online saying they should have bring a 2021 version of Africa. First things first, the movie wasn't set in 2021. You know what I mean? But even if you say that, why every movie had to be like that? Why every movie? So every movie now that have anything to do with Africa had to find a vibranium and a this and a that, and we had to. I don't like that. I couldn't even finish watch that Wakanda movie. I find that was terrible. I mean, I'm sure it was a good movie for a lot of people, but I just don't like superhero movies. And anytime the movie going too fake and false and too much thing happen and man flying and I can't watch that. And who want to fight big rhinoceros? Eyes drop asleep fast when you see them thing come on. But Coming to America, them people do good. But I wait to just watch one thing for me. Even if you didn't like the movie, right? Or you didn't see it yet. If you didn't see it yet, watch your movie from the start, right? Don't listen to me now. But when you're done watch it, go back to the scene where they announce sexual chocolate. Right? Just do me a favor. Just go back to that part. I know you ain't like it, but go back to that part, right? And watch when he was announcing that they're gonna bring on what the man named Randy Watson. When they start to announce that, I want you to just watch Lunel. You know Lunel, the comedian, little brown skin comedian. Watch her reaction to Randy Watson and then tell me you don't like that movie. It's the greatest thing because every one of them characters, beyond Semi and Akeem, right? Every one of them characters that Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall had played in that movie, all of them is icons as characters in our upbringing. We had like the barbershop guys. We had like the fellas who sing from Sexual Chocolate. We had like the women or the people who Eddie and them play in the bar when they were meeting people. Every one of them was good. You know what I miss about it? I didn't understand like they couldn't get Samuel L. Jackson's boy must read that script and say he coming away, but he was the only man missing. I mean, he had a real small but iconic role in the first one. I was a little disappointed not to see him, but at least we get to see Wesley Snipes. And we get to see John Amos like the father was still around. Hey, listen, it was good. Don't listen to what nobody say. Those to the social media and thing. Don't compare it to nothing. Just watch it as a regular movie and you will enjoy yourself. And then beyond that, even if we ain't like the movie too much, you gotta remember that people need paychecks in these streets, you know. Coming to America, I find it's too powerful a brand to just leave sitting down there. Although I understand the theory and not touching iconic things, right? But in the black community, we have so few movies already that we could hold on to. Imagine we had to hold on to that Wakanda movie so tight. So sometimes we had to do the commercial thing too. We can't always do the everything had to be a classic. It's the same thing we're doing. If you ever listen to Americans talk about rap music, every single song and every album you had to put out had to be a classic and it must be number one. And unless you're in the big number one spot in the bright spot, like come like you ain't doing nothing and you forgot. Nah, I ain't like that. Let these men make Coming to America, make about 10 parts. The first one will always be iconic. Nothing can take away from that. Let them make about 10 parts because people need to eat. Eddie Murphy, I'm sure he doing good and thing, but I ain't see Arsenio Hall in a long time. He could use a check, although he probably doing great. This little youth man, Jermaine Fowler, come out and make I never see him in no sort of movies before, like no blockbuster. He make a name for himself. Lunel could use a check. What was Lavelle mother name again? She was funny in the movie too. She borrowed the woman clothes. I don't want to talk about too much of the movie. But anyhow, if you take it in, enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. Forget about part one. Forget about Wakanda and all that. Just take it in. It's a real good movie. And please go and watch the scene with Lunel and watch Lunel's reaction to that. Now, as we done abroad already, let me continue staying abroad, right? We'll come back home just now, but on top of my Sunday morning or Saturday morning, I think it was, no, I was saying Sunday or Saturday morning when the Coming to America release. But then Sunday now, I had to deal with more of this kind of thing where everybody seems to be upset. I don't know what everybody upset about, because Oprah and CBS do this interview with, what the name again? Harry and Meghan. Now, if you know me, I don't know too much about this royal family. Most of my knowledge about the royal family is from watching The Crown. Because I was talking to my mother the other day, and she was saying that when they were going to school, they had to learn about the monarch as part of what they learn in history and them thing. But when I was in Newtown and thing, I don't remember learning a whole lot. I remember one time they make we go and line up by Polkaru Street to see the queen or princess or whoever it was. And I was real vexed because they passed real fast in a car. I couldn't even see the woman's face. I thought, for some reason, I thought like they would have walked down the street. But then make we line up there long, and then this woman pass and go. But anyway, Oprah interviewed these two folks, right? So these two folks is the two folks who bust out from the monarchy and went Canada and live. I didn't even know they moved to California, but they moved to California and apparently they're doing interviews and things. Now, my first reaction to it was because I hear them talking about how the royal family cut them off from the money and them things. So I tell myself money involved there, but they say that they weren't paid for the interview, but it cost CBS $7 million to air it. Now, I don't know how that matters work out, because I don't know if Oprah, maybe it take $7 million to pay Oprah to come out of the house to do an interview for CBS particularly. That's very, very possible. But they say they didn't take no money to do the interview, so that there goes my first theory where that's concerned. Outside of that, I can't figure out why them doing interviews. Listen, it is a funny world, yes? And as much as I get real hooked in watching The Crown, because I've never known a lot about it. Like I say on this podcast before that, I thought Prince Philip was Elizabeth's son because queen is make prince. I didn't know that when a woman is the queen, the man can't be the king. But when a man is the king, his wife is the queen. That's one of the strangest things I have seen. But all right, okay. We accept that. And then we all follow when Princess Diana died. That was a sad story. But if I being honest, when Princess Diana died, that is the first time I find out it has somebody named Princess Diana. Nobody can accuse me of being the most informed person ever had. I have no idea what's going on out there. So Princess Diana died. It was sad and everything, but I didn't know she was there before. I didn't know nothing about who she was married to, because I also thought Princess Diana was Elizabeth's daughter, because queens make princess and prince and things. So I was so confused at this whole thing. I never understood what is Duke of Edinburgh. I don't understand none of them things. Edinburgh is 500 to me, so I don't know what them things mean. But I must admit that the royal family is very captivating. So from starting to watch The Crown was like a little bit of a history lesson for me in looking at this, because you know me well enough. I don't trust none of these people. As far as I am concerned, these people are enslavers, robbers, pillagers, plunderers. That is what they do, and that is what they have always done, and that is what they continue to do. So when I was watching The Crown, it's the first time I heard the word abdicate too. I never heard that word before, but they said when George abdicate the thing. And I've never felt more proud of Trinidad and Tobago when I watched that episode of Crown to find out George abdicate and everybody. I was never so proud of our country for moving his name from King George Park and putting Mandela there. I find we should continue to work on that. Because as I said, the only queen I recognize is Wendy Fitzwilliams, Penny Commission, Giselle Aron. They're my queens. So you see Queen Street, I'm glad that now named after a new queen. You see Prince Street, go and name that Brian Lara Street. The only prince I recognize is Lara and Swanee. Go and name it Prince Swanee Street. I don't like the fact that we still have our country with names that have anything to do with any of these rapists and plunderers and pillagers and wicked people. But anyway, that's who we are, and that's the history. And I have a bunch of people. I remember talking about this on air one day, and somebody was upset, we erasing history. Yeah. We had to erase history. Rewrite it. I ain't mind. We're always talking about Columbus, I think. Yeah, rewrite all of that. Revisionist history. I hear all here for it. Because when you go to England and you see these men have big statues of Churchill and that's what they're supposed to do. That's their heroes. Those men went and conquered the world on behalf of a little island like England. But we who are the conquered, we still have a highway named Churchill. Why? Listen, go and name that highway something else. Right? You need that highway. We are legends up to today that can't get nothing named after them. Go and name everything after our own people. You know what I mean? Look how Sprangalang close the idea. Why they don't name that the Sprangalang Highway? I rather that. I don't want to hear nothing from these. Anyway, Meghan and Harry went and do an interview to shock the world by saying that they didn't want a black baby in the royal family. Let me who to talk about first? Because I don't know who. Let me talk about Oprah first, right? Because I can't tell you, see Harry and them. Oprah is one of the most skillful interviewers I've ever seen. Because, I don't know, boy, Oprah is get people to talk in a way. I mean, I guess she's Oprah. So people like them who would be younger would have seen her coming up and some of the iconic interviews she would have done with people like Michael Jackson. And Oprah knows how to interview. And I think she doesn't do a lot of the... Well, let me put it like this. If you ever notice the way she interviews, she asks hard-hitting questions without hitting hard. Is the best way I could describe it. Because she's going to address all the issues. And I heard her on a post-interview saying that the most important question, which I would have, if I had to interview them, that's what I would have think would be the most important question too, is why did you leave? Because why did you leave uncovers a whole lot of issues, not just for Harry, but also for Meghan. So I would also think that one of the most important things to ask Meghan is like, why did you enter? You know what I mean? But Oprah does a great job of interviewing and she just gets a lot out, I guess. And when she show up, it's always a big deal. No matter who she's going to interview, that is a big deal just because Oprah made herself present to do it. And I think they made the right choice to let her do it over anybody else who is in that space. So salute to her. And I mean, it's just somebody to pattern yourself after and to look after. There's some issues I had with Oprah and stuff in the past, and so just my own personal opinion. But not to get into that now. We go get into that when it's time to get into that. For now, salute to Oprah because that was a real good interview. She went through it with them. And she put questions to them. Regardless of how they answer, how uncomfortable it would have made them, she didn't let it slide. Now, who next? Harry? Wait, listen. I understand this notion that Diana was different from the rest of them and now these are her children and they somehow making some kind of like making up for their mother death. And listen, these people is enslavers, I don't know how they feel about these people and thing, but these people is enslavers. What you do to Harry? Harry and them don't like nobody. I don't care what nobody say. Now, the thing about it is, yes, he fall in love with, marry a black woman, right? But I could tell you this, he wasn't marrying no Eddie Murphy daughter from Coming to America too. He might find the lightest of the black, like light. And an actress, and you know what I mean? Listen, I don't buy nothing these people do, You was an enslaver, boy. You come from generations of enslavers, and you are just the same. You do because you find the milky shade of black. And I'm not knocking anybody who's light skinned black, because black is black. But Dread, you wasn't watching nobody who have no hint of dark skin in them. You don't want no part of no dark skinned people. You fall in love with the actress and thing, and everything went smooth, and you married the woman. I guess I get credit for that because your father wasn't doing that and your grandfather and them would not do that and thing. But come on, son. You know what these people are about. You can't be sitting down here acting surprised like if Diana was white as milk, but she's a commoner. And they don't find he should have married no commoner. You're the royal blood, as if that mean anything to me. And you still went down this road like if, everything gonna be smooth and you trying to act all somber because you leave the thing behind and you get cut off. And Like I remember there was one episode of The Crown where they show Philip going around talking about how his budgets get cut and he never get a king title. And I find Harry's song just like that. I mean, I don't believe in these people too much. So Harry, you know what I mean? When you start to talk about returning stolen wealth and property and territories, then talk to me now. Don't talk to me about your black wife because you get to like somebody who don't talk to me about that. Talk to me when it's time to return thing to countries that only live in shambles. When you're calling them out for that, give me a shout. In terms of Meghan, I don't know what to say about you, Dread. Because let me tell you from my perspective, right? As a man of color, as an African, I will never and would never be in no relationship with nobody who come from that. What do you think I is? Boy, listen, I don't want no part of them. So for you to meet Harry, and then her statement, the thing that stood out to me the most, I know a lot of people, the fact that they ask him what color the child would be, them kind of things stood out to a lot of people. But you know what stood out to me? She say, I didn't know much about the royal family and I didn't do much research. And she didn't even look him up online. You lie. Come now, man. Only woman is look up man online, only now meet. This is one of the stranger things for me in this generation and these times here. Like people is looking up on, I know I'm sounding a little ignorant here, but that's a real odd concept to me. Like you get to know me by name. Like it's a little thing I'm going through now. I can't talk too much about it, right? But like I put my name in a piece of correspondence as Corey Shepherd, right? So that people could call me as a job opportunity thing. So people are calling me about that, and I make sure that I put my name on it and my number, right? But I put my name as Corey Shepherd. I didn't include Bab. But 95% of the people who call ask for Mr. Bab. So it's like, so where are they getting that information? It's really as simple as people looking up online to see what you are, see your profile, see. So that's a real odd thing for me. But I live in a world where when I meet somebody, I'm meeting them for the first time. I'm now seeing you, I'm now hearing you for the first time, but no, your social presence goes well ahead of you. So you're trying to tell me an actress who meet a prince or whatever he was supposed to be called before. You trying to tell me you never Googled that man, Meghan? Come on, man, all you wicked out. I know, you see, the thing about it is there's a certain amount of, what do you call it, boy, American naivety. Like when you talk to, not immigrants, right? But when you talk to people who are American, whatever generation you're born, you tend to find that culture is one that gets very self-absorbed. They take in their own media, so they don't always know a whole lot about what happened in the rest of the world and what are the issues the rest of the world facing. Cool, I get that. But you can't tell me you was going with that man, you never Googled what going on with him. All right, let me say you didn't. You are actress, you're in Hollywood. I mean, you have people around you. You know what I mean? You're surrounded by a lot of people. When you start checking Harry, nobody can tell you about the prince and the royal family and what they're really about. You never had none of them conversations. Plus, before you married, or you had a courting period, you went in the palace, you meet the queen and thing. At no point you ain't saying, well, let me watch your crown self, let me see what it is I get myself into. I don't understand. I really don't understand. As I say, you see me, I couldn't take my black self by them people to say I go in and thing and I want to marry one of them daughter and them kind of thing. Not me. And I'm putting it to Meghan too, that as a black woman or a black mother, I mean, you have your family issues, all of your family issues, right? But you wasn't liking he if he was no royalty. Outright. He can't talk to you if he wasn't. Boy, listen, this world, a lot of times we pretend like certain things is all kosher. Boy, listen, Harry couldn't talk to Meghan if he wasn't who he is. She wasn't entertaining that thought. He'd rather come with real coin and real power. So, and I don't think anything wrong with that, to be honest, because if you're attracted by the allure of all that, that's cool. But don't come and say like you wasn't attracted by all that. Come now, man, you black. And you find yourself in the midst of this thing. So you didn't know, you telling me that when you met him, you didn't know what happened to Princess Diana? But anyway, so Oli reach now to the point where Oli decide to leave there because of what they stand for and what they are. But every now and again, you're mentioning that you're cut off financially, which means you still want to use. Imagine you married a black woman and you comfortable still accepting the spoils of her ancestors that was raped and pillaged and plundered. You cool with that? To the point where in the interview, they're saying that we would have loved to stay, but we couldn't. But it's like, stay for what, Meghan, yourself? You in a sunken place, or you going married into that family for you wicked odd? I find if she married into there, she's supposed to just rob them on a regular. I would respect Meghan more if when she go there, she just gave me, black women have always this gay rockabye bye. So the rockabye baby, because he taking long to rockabye baby, let me be real. When he get to Bam Bam, he rockabye baby. And just started thief out jewel in that place and thief back what belong to we and bring it back down here. And let me, hey, listen. Salute to Oprah. Oprah do a real good interview. I mean, take it in when you have time. It's a hard one to find. Like, I was trying to look at it again online and you're only seeing little clips. And even trying to look for the thing for it, I bounced up some clips with Piers Morgan. Save yourself and don't go and listen to Piers Morgan for too long now, because Piers Morgan, and the thing about it is, I might respect Piers Morgan a little more than Meghan and Harry, although I don't see eye to eye with him, but I respect his stance, because as a woman on the thing, tell him he's a white, rich, privileged man, you know what I mean? You know this talk now. But the reason I'm saying I respect him more than them is because he's just who he is and his true colors showing, and you had to accept that or reject that. Because that man is defending the royal family regardless. He was always against Meghan. He ain't gonna say it's because Meghan was black. But I would think that have a lot to do with it. Also, she was divorced a couple times, and that will have something to do with it too, at least based on why watching The Crown. But Piers Morgan has always been for royalty and for the Queen and what they stand for. But think about it, right? He's right. Because those are the people who fight and take a lot of the world's wealth for him, for his benefit. When you travel to England and you see how well appointed that country is, that is not their wealth they do that with. They're meant to just spend some time. If you don't want to talk about Africa, like people just get horrors when they talk about too much of African history and African slavery and what happened in the Caribbean. Don't study that, right? Go and watch what them men do in India to separate a country that separated and divided up to today. Go and watch what they do in them parts and divide up countries according to what they see fit, and give Belgium this and give Netherlands that and give that to Spain. And this is people wealth and people culture and heritage that they just went and take. They say, all right, well, yeah, cloth, bring that here. Well, yeah, sugarcane that we own now. Listen, go and Google Lloyd Best and Google the metropole and the hinterland. And start to hate these people, like, oh, I don't want no part of them. People go and marry these people. What's wrong with this woman? But, I mean, spare yourself this time, because Piers Morgan go and get upset. But his stance is that the monarchy, as far as I'm concerned, his stance is the monarchy is right. And regardless of what they do, they were in the right. And Harry and Meghan knew what they were a part of and what they signed up for. And they had no right to be acting the way they're acting now. And boy, as much as Piers Morgan is annoying me, he might be right about that. I might share that opinion. Like, well, yeah, doing interviews and them thing for all. And the thing about it is, like, mark my words, they're going to be, if both of them make it, because this is the kind of thing that's a struggle in a relationship, but if both of them make it, at some point they're going back right over there. Mark my words, because he done say, well, he and Charlo did fall out and he was so disappointed in Charlo. Well, now Charlo is taking calls and he brother the thing, and them men go and patch back up things, and soon you will see our money going in their pockets again. But let me get back to the local scene for a second, because the social media reaction to this interview had me a little confused. Like, Oprah put on her best harpo acting skills. What she was in Color Purple again, when they say how dark the baby is, Oprah say, what? What? Oprah well know that is a problem. Let me be real. Oprah herself, she not as uninformed as Meghan, what the girl name again, Akabi. But I was a little surprised at the local reaction to that because everybody on social media seemed to be real upset that they asked about the skin tone of the baby. And I started to wonder, the people in the she nice for a darky capital of the world upset about people asking the color of a baby, or in the he knows straight across his face, capital of the world is asking about baby. You know what I mean? It's a real odd thing to me. Like all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Madras curry capital of the world, black tilly blue capital of the world. We is the people who are all right, if only upset. Maybe it's just at baby stage we don't talk about it. But this is a country where people they say he only born dark, so he go get back to his complexion and thing. In this country, people shocked at. And we are listen, we ain't grow up like these people in no royalty school to learn to be anti-black and anti-color and racist like hell. No, but all right, who's me to talk about that? I don't know what the hell I talking about. I just want some help from somebody locally here to tell Harry and Meghan and think what I really think about this interview. So let me get some help from my partner, Tommy Joseph.
All I want to hear me sing?
Yes, sing for them, Tommy.
Hear me. 1,
yes,
2, 1.
Wait till Meghan.
3, 4. 1 Q, 2 Q, 3 Q.
And wait till the Queen and them. Wait till the whole monarchy. Wait till them.
1 cough, 2 cough, 3 cough. Oh God.
And wait till Harry.
1 key, 2 key, 3 key. Oh God.
Tell them for me, Tommy. Yes.
1 cough, 2 cough,
yes.
3 cough.
Yes.
Oh God.
Tell Harry again for me. Talk to them.
Oh God.
They my king, Tommy is my king. Sing for them. Yes.
Oh God. 1 Q, 2 Q, 3 Q.
Yes.
Oh God. 1 cough, 2 cough, 3 cough. Oh God.
Yes. Tell Harry one more time for me.
1 key, 2 key, 3
Tell
key.
Harry.
Oh God.
Thank you very much, Tommy Joseph. I appreciate the miking, right? All right, let's get to some local news too now, because let me talk vaccines again for a little while. I don't know how much more I could say about the opposition and thing, because you see me, I'm going to stop talking about politics, because when I bad talk the PNM as a UNC, when I bad talk the UNC as a PNM, I don't think people getting it that just dislike politics on a whole, especially the act of politicking when it's serious matters, and that is where we are now. So where the vaccine's concerned, I see Kamala come out and say that she was just acting on behalf of deadbeat ministers and thing. I mean, boy, listen. People good we. But I did see this week that Guyana population is about, let me say 800,000, right? And Guyana received 80,000 vaccines recently. I'm glad that happened, of course. And that's 10% of the population. So by my estimation, 100,000 vaccines for our population. That should make a big difference in addition to the gift that we are gotten from Barbados. But I think the issue is still the same underlying issue, where I've been criticizing this current government from the beginning. The issue is that it's never very clear what we're doing and what's the plan. Because the first COVID case in this country, coincidentally, was about a year ago this time. It was the 12th of March, 2020. And I mean, a lot of measures were taken, some of them that we're benefiting from greatly up to now. I would say that, as I said in the last podcast, some very, very difficult decisions were made. And boy, we're still here, because it had a few times I thought we'd crash the whole economy. But we're still here. Keep in mind that the 22nd of March will make it a full year that our borders are closed. I would think something like that is impossible to do, to be honest. You think about it. Forget COVID and them things and the world as we know it. I would think that any country that cuts itself off like that, regardless of what the world facing, will be in a serious problem and will struggle to recover from that. But I mean, so far, fairly so good. I mean, a lot of people affected, but the economy moving and it bubbling. All right, and a lot of new businesses come out of this and so on. So okay, we're going good. But I think my criticism of just like this thing with the vaccines is that We just don't know. And I'm not sure if the thing is that we have a plan and we just don't tell people the plan or whatever it is. I said the same thing about reopening of the border and the application process. And I see that move to a more online process where people complaining about it less. I suppose as decision makers too, you have a certain amount of people out of the country. When you pass a certain point, you're going to have less complaints anyway. So you just ride it out, I guess. But you're not seeing any clear plan for how many people we're looking to vaccinate. They're saying by the end of the year, most of the population will be vaccinated. This is month 3. And we didn't start yet. We didn't start yet en masse. And it kind of making you wonder, leaving a lot out there for speculation. So while I find the opposition wasting time with what they're doing. And I think that the oppositions in this country, just to be clear, they waste a lot of time. Because the role, and something I hear Basdio Pandey say once, and every opposition has done the same thing, regardless of which party. All they do is oppose, regardless of if the policy is good, the policy bad, whatever. They oppose it. They have times where the opposition in this country, all the parties involved, you know what they do? Oppose things publicly and come out and say this is a waste of time, and go right back and vote for it overall. So, I mean, at a time like this where people are supposed to unite, we still pushing this kind of division. But I would agree that we do need some kind of a clear plan, because if you don't outline what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish and stuff, I find like you're leaving yourself open for criticism that somebody had to listen to. Anybody who disenfranchised go listen to the critics and say, well, the critics sung better. But wait and see. No word yet on exactly what's supposed to happen where we concerned with India outside of an order made to purchase a certain amount of vaccine. So let's see how it goes. We having money, right? We have oil and gas eternally, so there's no problem. Now, quickly, also in a little bit of Tobago news, I find Watson Duke real subdued. You ain't find? Like, Watson Duke is the most mellow man it have. It's nothing to beat real power, you know. When Watson Duke was fighting for political clout and power, he's swimming to Trinidad from Tobago, and is always some kind of action and a loud talking and a big scene. But now my guy has 6 seats. My guy is equal to the PNM in Tobago right now. And he's so calm, boy. And I saw him in a press conference this week. I don't know if you all saw it. Like, somehow it fly under the radar a little bit in terms of popular news. At least not in the news cycle, but on the socials. Where he said that he had a very cordial meeting with the Prime Minister. And his tone in the meeting seemed very, very mellow to her. He was like, listen, this is the Prime Minister. And I always say that. You see when Rowley in cool mode, he's one of the best they have. He's unstoppable as a leader when he in cool mode. Is when he started to trip off. He had to let people trip him off. But he and Watson look cool. And Watson say, well, we are very bitter enemies and we have enough reason to be bitter with one another. But I appreciate his approach and the way he came to it and stuff, because we're going on to, this is past a month now where the THA thing is hung, right? So he said they came together and they make some agreements in principle. And they offered the PNM to go ahead and take on Chief Secretary. And what was it supposed to tell them they was getting, boy? He was giving them Chief Secretary and Presiding Officer. And what the PDP wanted was Deputy Chief Secretary and Secretary of Finance, right? I mean, boy, to be honest with you, when I first heard it, I said, this ain't songing right. Because if we're making a deal to get the thing done, but when you see him in the press conference, very calmly, but still songing like he insisting that he get Secretary of Finance, and I see him come out and say he don't want it personally. So which means he probably going to appoint somebody there. His work is on the ground with people in Tobago, which I feel he does a good job at. He doing a good job getting support on the ground. And I think it would be wise for him to maintain that role in the party, because that, think of it this way, to convince and get votes from so many people in any constituency or any territory is the more important job, even more than being a minister or appointment in the THA. Because it's better you get somebody else who's capable there and put them there, because that ability to get votes and to sway people, that is a hard thing to replace. Say what you want about Watson, you mightn't like him or whatever, but he definitely inspiring people. So again, it's something that every week, I've been talking about this every week since it started, and we'll continue to keep our eyes on it, because this is a new position. And I haven't heard anything specific come out in terms of our agreement to move forward. And you know what was lost on me in that little press conference and that back and forth that going on between him and the Prime Minister as well? The initial discussion was to get an assembly in place to call a next election to go back to the polls. But this arrangement that they're talking about here seems to sound a little more long term, because they didn't just talk about putting a chief secretary in place. So what would be missing to call an assembly and call the election, right? They also talk about sharing up the assemblymen 50-50. So that means they're putting a structure of governance in place. Now, it's the same thing I say. And if I say this about the PNM, they say as a UNC. If they say this about the UNC, they say a PNM. So maybe this is our first opportunity to see real collaboration and cooperation and codependency in governance. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead, but I'm hoping like that. Because when I see how humble Watson looking, he's so mellow, and Rowley's so mellow in this exchange, according to Watson. I'm hoping that we're really in a place where they could come together, govern the place well. Watson says his focus is to get not independence, but self-governance for Tobago. Good objective, if you ask me. But I just want to see them work together, boy. For once, I just want to see two political parties in this country that already polarizing where people are concerned to find ways to work together rather than continue to find ways to divide. Because when they divide among themselves, they divide the whole population. And we all know what divide and conquer is like, right? A man said to divide and rule is the only plan. But and if I could see anything different in Tobago, like people willing to come together and work together, then I would start to believe in politics again and the fact that politicians are in there for the benefit of the people who they serve. But again, let's see. I'm sure we're talking about this next week again, because we still have no resolve. Now let me get to our favorite topic, sports, right? Before I tell you a little bit about my own week and my visit to Fatima College, my old school from back in the day. Let me talk a little sports real quick. Now, couple of things. Congratulations to West Indies for winning a test series against Sri Lanka. Let me just say a test series, no? You know, I gave up on West Indies a long time ago. I can't take watching West Indies. You know what's one of the things I can't take about watching West Indies? For a long time, past the glory days, it was looking like we had a bunch of players who didn't care. And I understand that there are plenty of administrative issues with the team and reasons why the players on the field can't really give their best or refuse to give their best because of what they're facing with the administration. But I don't know. It's a hard team to back, Brian. This was a strange series too, because it's not like I watch a lot of the cricket, but it was confusing to me to see who was on the field. When I see Chris Gayle come back there, I thought he retired from international cricket and stuff. But I mean, Pollard as a captain. And you know, the funny thing about it is I thought we really beat up Sri Lanka. I see the first clip I see Pollard hitting 6 sixes in an over, becoming one of only 3 people to accomplish that. So I tell myself, it's advantage in our side, not knowing we scraping past to get victory. But anyway, a victory is a victory, yes, and any little victory that looking like a turnaround is a good thing for the West Indies. So salute to you all come true. But the next side that's frustrates me is Trinidad and Tobago football, the Soca Warriors. I don't know if it's still named Sona Boy, or if we come in with a new name for this campaign, but odd things are happening with the Soca Warriors. Let me put it like that, right? Let me start with odd thing number 1. Reading from Wired 868, right? It's one of the most odd things I've heard in international football ever. Terminex La Hockeyton Rangers managing director Richard Ferguson has put $100,000 on the table for Trinidad and Tobago football team head coach Terry Fenwick. All Fenwick has to do is cash in. All Fenwick has to do to cash in is lead his Soca Warriors to victory against the Pro League outfit. The Rangers' offer follows a protracted standoff between both camps as Ferguson consistently refused to release players to the national team outside of the mandatory FIFA international window. Now, again, this I don't know, Trinidad, some kind of things has come up here. Yes, that's a wonder, yes, because this is a Pro League owner or manager who challenging the national team. In any other region or country, the Pro League is such an important part of the development of the national team. And so many of the Pro League players make up the national team. So think of Spain's Pro League Or maybe we shouldn't compare them things. So think of La Liga, think of the Prem. You know, those that's the backbone for the talent that coming from a developmental level. Even if you want to look at it from youths. So look at Manchester United, look at Barcelona. They have an academy where youths coming up. Youths who from the area and thing. And who showing talent from outside of the area brought into that camp to feed into the club system so that the clubs remain top notch, always in the top tier of football, always competing for trophies like they are. And those players from that pool is the same set of players that will be possibly selected for a national team come down the road. So I would think that the FA in our country will be working very, very closely with the club system. So the club system and the national system had to work together. But here we have a owner of a pro league club. He wants to make a bet against the national team. You know, I remember when we had Matthew Rana as our coach here. I don't remember him. He was our coach here, a Colombian guy, right? And he did all right. He had no sort of success really, and he wasn't here for a very long time. But some time after, when I watching a little documentary about Pablo Escobar, who I could see come up in the Pablo Escobar documentary, but same Majorano, talking about him being the coach of Colombia national team when they used to fly into the jail to play Escobar 11. And if you watch Narcos, you would have seen, well, at least you used to see them playing football in the jail in Narcos. They didn't show that the national team used to go in and sweat against them. But that's what they say was happening. Maturana himself said in the interview or in the documentary, when El Patron calls, he answer. Like he had no choice, so you have to go. So that's confirmed that same team we watch with Escobar who get killed and Higuita and all of them, that's a side that used to go in jail to play against Pablo and them and you know what I mean? Like it remind me of that, because how you as a pro league man could be paying $100,000 as a public statement. So this is again from Wired 868, this is a public statement that you're willing to play the national team and you will beat them. Boy, listen, it's the strangest things that's happening in football here. Add to that all of a sudden, the commissioner of police, believe it or not, is very, very involved with the national team. Now, I had to use the term national team real loosely because the only teams them men playing against in preparation for World Cup qualifying is local clubs, because I understand they're going to play police and defense force, and they play a side named Orange 11, like a Tobago side, and beat them up the other day. But the only game Terry Fenwick coach so far is still that 7-0 we get from the US, right? The only real game against our international team. But somehow the commissioner with we, so I think we will get through, because the commissioner came out this week to make a statement to talk about Walter Alabi and his accusations that the national team disjointed. For him, so Gary Griffith, the commissioner of police, is personally vouching for the fact that the national team is together in good spirits, high morale, well motivated, well coached, kind of throwing his support behind, I had to say, the coach and administration that we have now. Now, this is the same commissioner, the same country I'm talking about with all these issues we having, people getting toe suck and so on, women going through all kind of issues in the country. Housebreaking becoming a real popular thing. The man just running in your house and take your things. And our police commissioner have time to make a statement about the state of our local football team, who really not in the best, there's not the best local team we ever had, or they're not in great standing, or they have no big criminal as far as I know on the national team for him to be so involved. But I want to understand that they do have on the national team is his son, who is rumored to be getting a lot of favor in terms of selection, and anybody you're playing football with or people who know about football saying, well, he might be the best, but he's selected because, you know what I mean? Who knows? If I don't want to say it's because of this thing and put nothing on the youth, man, but why the commissioner of police in his official capacity could be putting out statements like that for things so unrelated to what his mandate is and what he dare to do when things so bad? You know, if things real good, I don't really care what statements he make and what he do about what he do with his spare time or anything like that. But when things so bad, I don't find his look right for him to be on a stage with Buju talking about from double B to double G. I mean, listen, it's I don't know, but he different, yes. I don't want to say too much about him neither because you know what them send no commissioner. What they send for the man in Grandy? They send the police commission. People come in to ask you a bunch of questions about what you know and thing. I don't want anybody ask me nothing. I just put it out there that I find it very strange that the commissioner of police so involved in local football, and he put in the article his involvement, how often he's there and with the team and talking about how together the team is and stuff. Just very, very odd. Anyway, before we go, let me tell you about my alma mater for a second, right? I was graciously invited by Father Gregory Augustine this week to come and talk at the prize giving ceremony, what we know as prize giving in Fatima, right? And it's a real odd invitation for me, number one, because I never got a prize when I was in Fatima at all. I was far from a model student. I used to, listen, any chance you give me, I look into break school, I go and lie home. I gone. I used to jump that back fence, I out of there. I never really wanted to be in school. I wasn't that guy. When I finished school, I get 4 passes, a 1 and 3 2s. I'm trying to figure out now how to tell my mother and them a 1 and 3 2s to make it sound good enough. Like, if you know what I mean, it's like I do good. But I was glad for the invitation and to get there and say some words. Although Father Gregory tell me, like, in the prize giving ceremony, they usually ask an old boy to say some words about their experience in Fatima. And then when I get there, I see my name listed as feature speaker, the feature address. Well, I started getting nervous one time. I said, but what is this? But I think it went well, and I'm glad for the opportunity to be able to talk to boys in school too. Although, I mean, it's an awkward thing now when you have to plan these ceremonies that virtual / in person, because they had it in the middle of Fatima, where they call the quadrangle, where they have the fete. That was the first place they wanted to have it. And it was a very, very rainy day. That was last week, Thursday. And because of the rain, they move it into the hall in Fatima now. In the hall, I only know about problems in the hall. Because in the hall, I had some good experiences and some bad. Because I won Fatima Calypso competition in 1992. When I was in Form 1. Now I went into the school with a song that was so good. Like, the song was about how local radio stations don't play much local music, but a new radio station had come on the block that was playing local, right? And that station was to go like this. Radio Tempo, FM Stereo, 105, staying alive. Radio Tempo, FM Stereo, 105, staying alive. That's the only part of the song I can remember. But I win a 200, boy. $200 I win for Calypso, for Fatima Calypso competition. And on that same stage in the hall that I went back to. The hall was also a study area. You know, if you have a free period, I understand Fatima have no free periods now, but when we had free periods back in the day, you go in study hall and you sit down there and do your work. I also remember having epic fights in the hall, like brawl. I don't know, somehow fights used to break out. You know, in jail, mess hall is be a fight. Somehow you used to have some big brawl in the hall. And then, but most importantly, what used to happen in the hall was the Mayfair. Like, you ain't had to go Fatima to know Fatima Mayfair. Fatima Mayfair was one of the best things it had. I wonder if Father Gregory will invite me back to the Mayfair, boy. I could go in, we could have a big people Mayfair in May. So when the school train and them do the thing, we could go back and have some grown folks Mayfair right in that hall and put back on the sweatbox and bust a wine. You know, I mean, at this age, the wine go a little lame, but wait. But it was nice to go back in that hall and be able to talk to and see some of these youths, boy. And just talk to them because, you know, sometimes I always try, no matter when I meet a young person, and all my age are calling young too, I like to leave something positive with them, boys. Say something good to these people, say something uplifting, because I remember over the years, like, I always try to figure out why some people say certain things to me that change the way I see life, because I wanted to be on the street corner, you know. That was my. I used to like the block a lot, and I was never fit for the block. The block didn't like me because they used to run me home right through. I remember, like, when I walk home in my Fatima uniform, men used to run me home and say, "Boy, don't lie him in your uniform." While Complement and Junior Segment and St. James Segment could lime and it's like, nah, don't lime in the uniform. I didn't understand what it was at the time, but that's where I wanted to be. That was where my ambition was. But little by little along the way, outside of my parents, right, and people who directly influential to me, I had some random encounters with people that I always wonder, like, why. I remember being a rep in TSTT. By this time, I'd already finished my bachelor's and I wanted to go on to do my master's. But I was dealing with a lot of self-doubt, and like at the time when I had my crew in UE who used to study together and everything. And most people who didn't apply, like some of them didn't apply to get into Lockjack at the time, and some apply and didn't get in. And I was thinking to myself, boy, I don't want to go. If I'm not going with my normal crew that I studying with, why would I go? And I remember seeing a customer one day, and the guy was so impressive to me. I might have been 22 at the time, 23. And the guy was just impressive. He was coming into the country. He had roots locally, but he lived abroad. And he came back into the country to run Sinclair Medical. He was going to be the CEO of Sinclair Medical at the time. So he was a doctor, but he also had an MBA and did it. I don't know how I get so much information from this man during this conversation, but I guess it fall into my wheelbarrow, so I'm curious. And I remember him saying to me, he said, I have no doubt that you're going to be very, very successful, not just with your MBA, but in life in general. And I kept asking him, like, why? What you see? Because at that point, I not seeing anything like that. I seen difficulty and how, you know what I mean? And I always wondered, I can't remember the guy's name or anything. I wish I could see him again and just tell him thanks for like planting that seed, because I didn't think of myself as, I guess, worthy of being able to do a program like that. I didn't see myself as, I struggled through bachelor's. So I didn't think I would be able to get through masters without the help of my squad. I didn't think I could do it. And them words just stick with me. I also remember while I was studying for my masters, I remember during TSTT, working TSTT Park Street, same office. And I used to go for lunch on a place on Park Street. I think the name of the place was Manos. I know it had Manos and Panchos and Yanas, right? In Tong, there was three brothers who had these little breakfast kind of food joints. But this is opposite Globe, where corner St. Vincent and Park Street. On the corner, they had a little spot. I think the name of it was Manos, And it was kind of like a bar, kind of like a lunch spot and thing. But I used to walk across Park Street. And sometimes I carry more books and all. And I go and I get my little, they used to sell good little Creole food. I get my food there and I read and whatever. And I remember that time, I had no books or nothing with me. I just had my food there and I sitting down, people watching and eating and things during the lunch break. And the first one a fella, the first one Roots, man. I'll never forget that. The first one came and sit down in the booth with me, right? He asked if anybody's sitting down there, and he sit down opposite me. And Roots man was organizing the food. And I remember, for some strange reason, I remember Roots man saying like, I want hops and corned beef with butter. It must have plenty butter. I don't know why. Why something just stick with you like that, boy? I was thinking less butter, but Rootsman and thing bring, and while Rootsman getting this stuff and looking to bring it and thing, the first though just watch me out of the blue and say, he said, young man, you're going to be a success. You have a successful face. You have a successful face. And I don't know, them just random stories, but I don't know why people say them things to me, but I could tell you, like, those little things would have influenced me more. I mean, my mother and father pushing in my head to do this. You had to try, you had to succeed, you had to persevere. But those little words, those little encounters, them chance things did a lot for me at the time. So I took that role in Fatima seriously, to be able to talk to boys, more so boys like myself who wasn't sure what they're in school for. They're doubting themselves. They're not sure. You know what I mean? It's not a nice place to be in, especially, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm crying for no college boy, because when you're in college, you already have a certain amount of quote-unquote privilege. You know, you're in a really good institution which will work for you later on in life. But I'll tell you this, when you go to a school like Fatima, everybody real bright. So one of the things I didn't understand is that I might be coming close to last in test, but you're doing really very good. So you're getting 70 something in a subject and you're close to last because A lot of boys, not just bright, they're putting in the work, they're going home and they're studying and they're putting in the hours and they had the discipline and thing. And I took that as an opportunity to maybe, I don't know if it would influence or affect anybody, but maybe just plant a seed like those random people did for me. And I hope that it could reach any youth man now who's struggling or in a system where they feel like they're behind and that kind of thing. I mean, them fellas and them is good youths. And you know what was real interesting about it? It was so similar to when I went award ceremonies while I was in Fatima, because you would hear the same names calling over and over to collect prizes. I remember, I don't mess up nobody's name, but I remember a man named Siddiq Khan, Manchan Musilal, Bernard Bidesi. They just used to go, like, you used to watch them when they walk and collect the prize. They used to walk backstage. They never used to come out in the crowd because they had so much prizes to collect. And this prize ceremony was so similar to that. Like, they had a youth man there named Bartholomew. I want to say it's Adam Bartholomew. Hey, impressive. Everything they say for prize, he in the line. Maths, prize. Chess, prize. You know what I mean? Overall accomplishment. He just getting medal, and the medals getting bigger and bigger as the ceremony going on. It's nice to see. But what was instructive and what was different, I find, from my time to this time now is that when I was in Fatima, in school in general, there had some men who was real bright. And there had some men who was real good in sports. But what we used to have less of than what I see in these youths now is so people who well-rounded and excelling in every area. Like that youth man I talking about, Bartholomew there. When he done collect all them prize, that man gone on his stage for a musical piece. And they do a song. They do two songs. Some song they do before, and then they do Overjoyed by Stevie Wonder. And he play, boy, it's not as big as a cello or a standing bass. Me know he playing a boy, but it's standing like a standing bass, but it's smaller than them big standing bass. And he playing it like a violin. You tell me what instrument is that, right? And that man play that. And listen, I ain't talking about play in a rote mechanical way, like how I find I used to play music when I was learning little music in school or learning piano. It was very mechanical and rote. The man playing with feeling, and you can see, and they have a little 4-piece. They have a trap set. He playing that instrument. A youth man playing saxophone. Listen, I have a saxophone. I can't get the song not nearly how he. That man singing so good playing that sax. And then the next youth man playing a keyboard. You know when the song done and it's time to play Overjoyed, that man switch wrong instrument. Cello man going and play keyboard. Keyboard man going and pick up an electric guitar. I say, but these youths, they're so impressive, boy. We in a good place, you know. The people can say what they want. You see, we worried about the future and this and that and the country and where we're going and oil and gas running out. And you see, these youths, I can't wait for them to take over, boy. We need to hand them the reins because they, well, and I see the same thing when I go to presentation college. I had to give presentation their props because my brothers went pres as well. I like to give them a hard time, you know. But when you go down on that pres campus, pres men different, boy. Number one, there's real stick together. So when you see pres have an event, you see the whole place full. When pres playing football and that, they feel wretched. But when they come together to play football, is everybody who went pres coming back there together to do it along with parents and siblings and everybody. And when you look at, when I play music with pres already for the for several different things that they had. You said things in the Prima Bowl, some things in the hall by them there. And boy, when them men is blow your mind, boy, the way them is play music and thing, and it's something else. I think the country in good hands. These schools really doing a job with these youths. They're well-rounded, they're very bright, they're well-spoken, they ain't shy like how we was and frightened to talk to people. So I feel this country in good hands. I was really encouraged by that at Fatima, and I committed myself to doing more around youths and for youths and with youths. So if you're listening to this, and I know a lot of people from Fatima listen to this too, find a way to pass back through, you know what I mean? I was telling the youths that let me find a way to make an impact on the schools that we went to. And this is for everybody in general. I also went Tranquil. I have a lot of respect for that institution as well. And anybody who listening from whatever school you're in, find a way to get back to them youths and impact them, and maybe just do what the Fosto and Sinclair guy would have done for me, and whisper a word that might impact them in a way that you don't know. You know what I mean? Be careful with the words that we're telling youths. Give them something positive to hold on to. And they're going to do better. They're going to do better than our generation would have ever done. And that's about it for me. So I'll talk to you all next week. I hope you enjoy your week. Everybody stay safe.